Well, it all started for me when I was 14. I had a dirt bike. I was on a dirt road going way too fast and came around the corner and I hit a car. At 14, I got put on Oxycontin 40s. My dad worked out of town, was gone all the time. My mom was a hairdresser, worked 80 hours a week. So I dosed myself, my own medication. That's what started my addiction.
I started cigarettes at the age 9. When I was 13, my mom was working nights, and me and my sister were 13 months apart, so that's when we started smoking pot and drinking.
My addiction began with occasional pill use in my teenage years, and then it became full-blown before I hit 20. I was addicted to opiates and couldn't stop. I started with a prescription, and then eventually I started buying them, and whenever I could get my hands on them, it turned into being addicted full-time.
Well, back in 2014, I was working. My husband was at home watching the kids, and I didn't realize that he was battling with alcoholism. I didn't understand what alcoholism was. When he said 1 or 2 beers, I believed him. The one thing is, alcoholism doesn't affect just the person that's using it, affects the whole family. It tore my family apart.
So there I am, 16, with a full-blown addiction. So I left home. So the day I turned 18, I went to the methadone clinic. 2 weeks of being at the methadone clinic, I did a bunch of Klonopin. I partied all night long, had a good time, went to sleep, woke up 47 days later in Eastern Maine Medical Center. It had gotten to the point where the doctors were actually talking to my mom about pulling the plug. My mother literally talked to my friends about whether I wanted to be buried or cremated. I don't remember much about coming out of the coma, but I do remember looking at my mother. She had lost probably 20 pounds, and she was balled up in a chair, sleeping. Well, I wasn't ready. After literally almost dying, I go back out, and I start using. And the disease of addiction is a progressive disease. When you go back out hard.
I was at the bottom of the barrel. I lost my home, I lost my car, I lost my license, lost my kids, I went to prison. I lost it all.
So I said I'd never date someone who used needles. Ended up doing that anyways. And he finally talked me into using needles. And then one day he killed me. Literally, he made me overdose. I woke up with 6 EMTs around me. And all I could think of was, where's my daughter? No child should have to see their mother dead on the floor because of a drug addiction.
It felt like everything was turned right upside down. Yeah, when you have DHS in your lives or your kids being taken, yeah, of course you're judged. They think you're an awful parent, and then people just get too personal asking questions, and everything is like you don't want to talk about it because it's just embarrassing.
But when you have 2 addicts in the house and you're trying to raise a child, it doesn't work. Parenting class, yeah, at first that seemed like a lot. When you sit down and you talk about it like that, like I learned so much from this class. I didn't even graduate high school. And I got handed a certificate of completion. I completed something, like I saw it through. I saw the whole thing through. I started it and I finished it and I did it.
I see me going back to school and eventually being somebody. I'm climbing up the ladder, but little at a time. I want it yesterday. I want instant gratification, but that's not possible. So we'll just take one day at a time.
People usually try to keep the fact that they're addicted a secret because they're worried about what everybody's going to think about them. It's a scary thing to be labeled an addict.
For the longest time, I didn't talk to anybody about it. And then there was people that were coming forward and telling similar stories. People who got their kids back.
For almost a year now, I have 11 months and 19 days clean. And that only happens one day at a time. It's not going to happen over a week or two.
Addiction is real. It's a disease. You know, there is hope. There is hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Even when it gets dark and gloomy, there's help out there.
When it's time, the hardest thing to do is ask for help. But people can recover. They aren't any less of a person because they've had an addiction.
Don't give up. Keep fighting for your children. Don't give up, even when it seems hopeless. Focus on your family and surround yourself with positive people. And just keep on going, even when it seems hopeless. Just keep on going. Don't give up. I mean, if you give up, that's when you lose everything. That's when you lose everything.